Blood. That was the first thing I smelled. Iron, warm, and sharp, hanging in the night air like a warning. My name is Zara, and I wasn't supposed to be in that alley tonight. I was supposed to be home studying for my Taekwondo promotion exam, trying to turn my life of struggle into something that finally looked like a win. But fate had other plans, because tonight, I met him. It started with a groan, the kind made by someone who had already lost hope. I peeked around the corner cautiously. 7 men, big, drunk, violent, and lying on the ground, curled around his ribs like he was trying to hold himself together, was the most expensive-looking man I had ever seen in my life. Tall, broad shoulders. The suit is worth more than my entire apartment building. Dark curls drenched in blood and sweat. Eyes closed like he was slipping away from life entirely. What the hell was a man like that doing in a neighborhood like mine? One of the attackers kicked him in the stomach again. "Stay down, you rich trash," the thug spat. Another laughed. "Billionaires thinks he owned the world. Not tonight." Billionaire? My heart jerked. This wasn't just some random street fight. It was a coordinated beatdown. And nobody else was around. It was just me. And them. I should have run. I should have pretended I saw nothing. But then the billionaire's eyes flickered open just barely, and he looked at me. Those eyes. Haunted. Desperate. Begging. I stepped out from the shadows. "Hey!" I yelled. 7 heads turned toward me. Fear punched my lungs, but I masked it with confidence. "You boys sure need a whole squad to take down one man." "Huh?" I mocked, rolling my neck and stretching my arms loose. The leader grinned with rotten teeth. "This ain't your business, girl. Walk away before we shut that mouth." I smiled, slow and deadly. "You picked the wrong alley." And then everything happened fast. One charged at me. I spun. Roundhouse kick. His jaw snapped sideways. He crumpled to the concrete. The others cursed and rushed forward in a messy wave of fists and knives. Good. They were sloppy. I wasn't. Block, strike, side kick, elbow to the throat. 2 down. Another swung a metal pipe. I ducked and drove my heel into his knee. He screamed as his leg bent the wrong way. 3 down. The billionaire tried to push himself up, but he only managed a weak cough. Blood streaking his lips. "Stay down," I said sharply. The knife guy came next. I caught his wrist mid-stab. Twisted, the knife clattered away. Back kick to the sternum. He hit the wall like a broken rag doll. 4. That left 3. The leader stared at me like I was a demon. "Who the hell are you?" I stepped forward, breathing steady. "Someone you should have left alone." He swung a chain. I blocked my forearm, grabbed his throat, and smashed my knee into his gut. 5. The last 2 hesitated. Smart. But it was too late. I flipped one over my hip. He hit the ground out cold. 6. The final thug tried to run. Oh no, sweetheart. No survivors allowed. I sprinted, caught him by his hood, yanked him back into a spinning hook kick. 7. Silence. Only the billionaire's labored breathing remained. I inhaled deeply, letting the adrenaline drain out. Then I rushed to him and knelt beside his bruised, elegant frame. His voice was rough, barely there. Are you real?" I huffed a tiny laugh. Last time I checked, his gaze roamed my face, studying me like I was unreal, like I didn't belong in the same world as pain. "You saved my life," he whispered. "Yeah, well," I shrugged. "Somebody had to." I helped him sit up. His suit was ruined, ripped, bloodied. Underneath, his body was all firm muscle and neglected wounds. "You need a hospital," I said. "No." His grip tightened on my arm urgently, terrified. "They're still looking for me." My skin prickled. "What do you mean?" He swallowed hard. "I'm being hunted by people who want everything I own. Rich problems. Dangerous problems." I tried to help him stand, but he winced sharply, nearly collapsing again. "You're too injured," I said. "We can't stay here. More could come." He blinked slowly, trying not to pass out. "Can you take me somewhere safe?" I hesitated. I didn't know him. He was a stranger, a billionaire stranger with enemies. Helping him could ruin my life. But leaving him, that wasn't in my nature. I draped his arm over my shoulder and pulled him up against me. He leaned heavily, warm, exhausted, vulnerable. "What's your name?" I asked. "Damien," he murmured. Damien. Even his name sounded expensive. "I'm Zara. Try not to die on me, okay?" A faint smirk ghosted his lips. "I'll do my best." We limped together out of the alley, step by agonizing step. Suddenly, his body tensed. "What is it?" I asked. He whispered, voice trembling. "They're not supposed to find me this fast." Lights flooded the opposite end of the street. Black SUVs. Men with guns stepping out in formation. My heart dropped. Damien's breath hitched, his knees buckling. "They're here," he rasped. "Who?" I asked, gripping him tighter. His eyes locked on mine, fear and regret swirling together. My own family. Freeze. That's what my body did when those black SUVs rolled in like a silent army. The billionaire Damien leaned heavily against me, breath shaky. His voice was a ghost. "My brother sent them." Brother, not random criminals, not thugs. Family. That made everything worse. I scanned the alley. No escape routes left. They blocked our only way out. "Zara," Damien rasped, "you should run." I turned to him, deadpan. If I was going to run, I'd have done it long before punching 7 idiots in the face. Despite the blood on his teeth, he gave a weak laugh. Then headlights flared brighter. The men approached, polished shoes in perfect rhythm. Not street thugs, professionals. One carried a gun. Another held zip ties. No time. No plan. Just me. And him. The leader stepped forward, tall, well-dressed, and smiled cold as a snake. "Mr. Kane," he said, "your brother wants you home. Now." Damien stiffened. "I'm not his prisoner." The man laughed softly. "Oh, but you are." I stepped between them, fists up. "No one's taking him." The leader's eyes slid to me, amused. "And who are you?" He gestured to my worn sneakers and hoodie. "A stray trying to protect a lion?" I didn't blink. "This stray bite." "Cute," he murmured. "Gentlemen?" They rushed. Everything turned into lightning and instinct. My fist snapped out. Break. One man's nose exploded red. Another grabbed Damien. I spun and kicked his ribs. Crack, he dropped. But there were too many. A hand snatched my wrist. Twisted, white-hot pain shot up my arm. I punched back blind, felt someone's teeth shatter under my knuckles. Damien tried to fight too, raised a fist. Hit weakly, but his legs buckled. He dropped hard to the concrete. "Damien!" I screamed. 2 men grabbed me from behind, locking my arms. I fought like a trapped storm, but they were tanks. "You're quite good," the leader admitted. "A shame you wasted it on the wrong man." He signaled a gun pressed to Damien's temple. My heart stopped. "That's enough," he said, "or the billionaire dies." My body froze. Everything inside me screamed, but I went still. The leader leaned in close. "I suggest you walk away. Forget you saw him." I glared back, breathing fire. "I won't walk away." "You will," he said calmly, "or we will bury him right here." The men began dragging Damien toward the SUV. I wanted to rip the world apart, but I couldn't. Not with a gun on him. My voice cracked. "Let him go." Damien managed to twist his head toward me, his eyes pleading. "No," he whispered. "Don't get hurt because of me." His concern hit deeper than any punch. The leader opened the SUV door. My pulse thundered. I had to move, now. My gaze dropped to the alley floor. Metal glinted near my foot. The knife I'd kicked away earlier. A crazy idea flickered. I shifted my foot and tapped it. The blade slid right into my reach. I inhaled sharply. Then action. I tore free of the man's grip, dropped, snatched the knife, and launched it. The blade sliced through the air, straight into the leader's hand. He screamed, a gun clattering away. Chaos erupted. I sprang up, kicking the nearest man in the jaw. Bang! A shot fired wildly, shattering a window. "Run!" I yelled. I grabbed Damien by the collar and hauled him behind a dumpster. Bullets smacked into metal, ping, 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 showering sparks inches from our heads. Damien gasped, his voice weak but determined. "My car, 2 blocks east, keys in my pocket." I slid my hand into his pocket and nearly forgot how to breathe. His body was hot, solid muscle beneath that ruined suit. Too close. Too tempting. Not now, Zara. I've got them, I said, pulling the keys free. His eyes locked onto mine, dark and intense, even in pain. You saved me. Again, he whispered. His gratitude was a warm hand on my chest. No more talking, I muttered. You owe me dinner for this. He gave a tiny, pained smile. I'll buy you the whole restaurant. Bullets kept flying. We crawled, dodged, rolled through shadows. Finally, we reached the alley exit. I hauled Damien up, his arm tight around my shoulders. His breathing was ragged, his blood soaked through my hoodie. Just hold on, I whispered. His lips brushed my ear when he spoke, making my pulse stutter. I don't want to die, he said quietly. I haven't even thanked you properly. That did something dangerous to me. We're not done yet, I replied. We stumbled into the streetlights, traffic, chaos. Then there, a sleek luxury car, black, bulletproof. His. I shoved him inside the passenger seat, jumped into the driver's seat. Can you drive? He groaned. I can do everything, I shot back, slamming the engine to life. The SUV tires screeched behind us as the men gave chase. I stomped the accelerator. The car roared, we shot into the night. Damien's head hit the headrest, eyes fluttering. Don't sleep, I snapped, grabbing his hand. His fingers curled around mine, weak, trembling but fiercely holding on. You're incredible, he whispered. Heat shot through me, unwanted and unstoppable. I squeezed his hand back. That's what I do. Before I could say more, his grip loosened. His head fell sideways. Damien! Hey! I shook him. Nothing. He was unconscious, barely breathing. I ripped through traffic, heart-pounding acid, enemies closing in. This billionaire wasn't just in danger. He was dying. And suddenly, I realized something terrifying. I didn't want to lose him. Not now. And definitely not before he gave me that dinner. When I finally stumbled into the emergency ward, adrenaline was the only thing keeping me upright. My knuckles throbbed, my leg felt like fire, and blood soaked through my sleeve from a deep cut. But I didn't care. He needed help more than I did. The billionaire, the stranger I'd saved. Doctors rushed him away from me, shouting code words I barely understood. Only when he disappeared behind the double doors did the silence hit me like a tidal wave. What did I just do? Why did I jump into that fight? And why does it feel like I do it again without hesitation? A nurse tried to push me into a chair, but I waved her off, pacing instead, breathing like I had run for hours. My mind kept replaying his faint voice, his fingers gripping mine. Please, don't leave me, like he was afraid of being alone. Finally, a doctor approached me. Miss, you were with the patient found in the alley, correct? Yes, I said quickly. Is he alive? He's stable now, but... The doctor studied me. He kept asking if you were safe. My stomach flipped. He cared. Before I could respond, a group of men in black suits stormed into the hallway. Hard expressions, thick shoulders, and earpieces. Bodyguards. One of them flashed a badge I'd never seen before. We're looking for Alexander King. Where is he? Alexander King. That name punched the air out of me. The tech billionaire? One of the richest men in the country. The man I saved was him? The doctor pointed toward a room, but before the guards could move, alarms erupted. A nurse sprinted out shouting, He's gone! The patient isn't in his room. Chaos exploded. The guards yelled into the radios. Nurses panicked. Doctors froze. Gone? Where could he go in his condition? My heart raced as a door behind me creaked open. A warm and shaky hand grabbed my wrist and pulled me inside a supply closet. It was him, Alexander. He leaned against the wall, shirtless under the hospital gown, bandages wrapped around his ribs. His eyes were wild with fear and pain. Don't let them take me, he whispered. I blinked. Aren't they your bodyguards? He shook his head slightly. They work for the man who wants me dead. The hallway outside exploded with footsteps. He flinched. Something in me, instinct or insanity, took over. I slid my arm around his back. Can you walk? I can try. We slipped out through a service corridor, his weight heavy on my shoulder. Every step he took looked like agony, but he didn't complain once. The exit door ahead was locked with a keypad. He leaned closer, typing slowly with trembling fingers. "How did you know the code?" I asked. He met my eyes. "Because I built this hospital." The door clicked. We slipped out into the cold night. A black SUV screeched toward us. My heart jumped to my throat, but Alexander squeezed my hand. "That one's mine." A driver jumped out, rushing toward him. "Sir, thank God!" He helped Alexander into the back seat. I stepped back, suddenly unsure where I fit into this billionaire's nightmare. But before I could turn away, Alexander reached out and grabbed my hand again. That same fear, that same plea. "Don't leave me. Not yet." My chest tightened. The driver looked confused. "Sir, who is she?" Alexander didn't answer him. He answered me. "You saved my life tonight, and now I need you to help save my future." The way he said it, like whatever came next, was bigger than both of us. I slid into the SUV beside him, heart pounding with a mix of terror and something dangerously close to desire. The car sped into the dark, city lights disappearing behind us. Alexander leaned his head against the seat, eyes half closed, voice soft. "Zara, right?" I froze. "How do you know my name?" He managed a weak smile. "Because I made sure the woman who saved my life would never be a stranger to me." Before I could ask what that meant, a loud pop. Glass shattered. The SUV swerved violently. Gunshots. Someone was firing at us. The driver yelled, "Hold on!" Alexander's hand locked around mine, and the world spun into chaos. The SUV's tires screamed as the driver swerved, bullets pinging off the metal like cruel raindrops. I clung to Alexander as he shielded me with his body, every gunshot forcing a wince through his bandaged ribs. The city sped past in a blur of neon and panic. "Who are they?" I shouted over the chaos. His jaw tightened. "Someone who wants everything I've built and my blood to vanish." Veiled answers. Secrets. A billionaire life that was more dangerous than glamour. The gunfire intensified. The driver pulled a risky turn down a cramped alley and hit a hidden garage door remote. A steel panel rolled open just in time for us to dive inside. The door slammed shut behind us, bullets clinking harmlessly off the outside. Silence, except for my heartbeat in my ears. Alexander slumped back, breath ragged. "We're safe, for now." The garage was empty except for a private elevator. The driver helped him out, but Alexander reached again for my hand. Like letting go would mean losing something vital. As the elevator doors closed, he whispered, "My real name is Alexander King. Damien was just the shield I used to walk among people without a camera in my face." "I already figured," I said softly. "Only a billionaire would build a hospital." He smiled, a ghost of the confidence he must show the world. The elevator opened into a breathtaking penthouse. Glass walls, marble floors, a skyline so close I could almost touch the stars. It was beautiful, but silent. Lonely. The driver cleared his throat. "I'll increase security around the building, sir." Alexander nodded. "Trust no one except Zara." The driver gave me a curious look, then left. Just the two of us now. I crouched beside him on the couch. "Let me check your wounds." "I'm fine," he murmured. "You're bleeding through your bandages." "You're not fine." He blinked at me, eyes softening. "You sound like someone who cares." "I sound like someone who can punch a man twice my size," I corrected, trying to lighten the tension. But when I carefully lifted his hospital gown to replace his bandage, my hands struggled to stay steady. His body was a map of pain, fresh bruises layered over older scars. The kind only comes from a life lived constantly under threat. "What did you do to them?" I asked quietly. He exhaled. "I inherited power, and when you inherit power, you inherit enemies." He caught my wrist, fingers warm against my pulse. "Zara, why did you risk your life for me tonight?" I froze. I should have said, "Because you were outnumbered." I should have said any decent person would. But the truth slipped out before I could stop it. Because something in me refused to watch you die. His eyes held mine like a secret promise. He brushed a strand of hair from my face, and every nerve in me lit up. Just as the moment deepened, the lights cut out. Pitch black. A metallic click echoed from the entrance hallway. "Stay behind me," he whispered. Before I could argue, he pulled a sleek gun from under the sofa cushion, Billionaire safety measures. He winced but aimed steady. Shadows moved toward us. A voice filled the dark. "Hello, Alexander. We thought we lost you." The intruder stepped into the faint moonlight filtering through the windows. He was tall, dressed in a tailored suit, smiling like a man who enjoyed breaking things. His men fanned out, blocking exits. Alexander's grip tightened around my hand behind him. "I told you before," Alexander growled. "I'm not selling the company." The man smirked. "It's not your choice anymore." He looked at me then, hungry, cruel. "And this must be the Taekwondo girl the streets are whispering about. How interesting." My fist curled, my stance lowered, muscle memory preparing for hell. Alexander whispered, "Zara, don't risk yourself for me again." Too late. My heart had already made that decision. The man raised his gun directly at Alexander's head. "You leave me no choice." I moved before he could finish. Sidekick. Gun knocked loose. I used one thug's shoulder to flip behind him and smashed his face into the glass wall. Adrenaline controlled my body like fire. But there were too many. Hands grabbed my arms. A punch collided with my ribs. I gasped. Struggling, Alexander shouted my name. Then a gunshot tore through the air. The man holding me fell backward dead. The others stepped aside as another figure entered. Female. Silhouette sharp as a blade. Alexander whispered her name in shock. Camilla? His ex-fiancée. The woman the tabloids said left him heartbroken. She holstered her gun with cold elegance. "You always did know how to attract trouble, Alex." Her gaze slid to me, unreadable. "And this must be the girl you risked everything for." Jealousy, curiosity, danger? Couldn't tell. She smirked. "You two are coming with me now. Whether you trust me, doesn't matter." Her men dragged Alexander forward. I tried to reach him, but Camilla blocked me with a single look. "Don't worry, Zara. I won't let him die." A chilling pause. "Not until I get what I want." A bag was yanked over my head, hands bound, heart breaking. The last thing I felt was Alexander's fingers brushing mine, trying to hold on before we were ripped apart. I regained consciousness on a cold marble floor. My wrists were bound with zip ties, and the air smelled of expensive perfume and danger. Dim chandelier light flickered from above. Not a warehouse, not a basement. It was a guest suite, too luxurious to feel safe. Alexander lay next to me, barely breathing, blood staining his bandages fresh again. "Hey, hey," I whispered, sliding closer until my shoulder touched his. "Open your eyes, please." His lashes fluttered, and when he finally looked at me, relief softened every edge of his pain. "You're alive," he breathed. "Then I can survive anything." I swallowed a tremor, even tied up, bruised and hunted. He could still steal my breath. His voice grew shakier. "I'm sorry you're part of this now." I shook my head. "Stop. I chose to be here." The door slammed open. Camilla stood there stunning, deadly and smiling like poison in silk. "Well," she said casually, "aren't you too cute? Handcuffed together by fate. How romantic." Alexander glared. "What do you want, Camilla?" She sauntered closer, heels tapping like countdowns. "I want what you stole from me. King Industries. You think I walked away because I didn't love you?" A bitter laugh. "No, I walked away because your enemies told me if I stayed, you'd die even faster." My heart twisted. So this wasn't a heartbreak. It was fear disguised as surrender. Alexander's jaw clenched. "I can protect myself." "You can't even protect her," Camilla snapped, flicking her eyes at me. Then softer. "You are going to sign control of the company over to me. Then maybe they'll stop hunting you." He looked at me. I saw his fear. Not for himself. For me. Before I could speak, Camilla nodded to guards. "Give them an hour to talk. Then we get his answer." The door locked behind her. Silence stretched. I scooted closer, knees touching his. "They're using me as leverage," I whispered. "Don't give up your life's work for mine." He cut me off. "Zara, you are the one thing tonight that feels worth fighting for." The room spun, not from fear this time, but something dangerous and warm. I took a steady breath. "We need a plan." He exhaled sharply. grimacing as he shifted. I have a hidden fail-safe in my watch, but they took it. Where is it? He nodded toward a glass case on the wall displaying items Camilla stripped off him. My blood heated. Then we get it back. I wriggled and twisted until the zip tie began to cut into my skin. The pain burned, but I kept going. Finally, snap. Freedom. I quickly freed Alexander's hands too. He sagged into the wall, exhausted but alive with determination. You're incredible, he whispered. I rose to my feet, body aching but ready for war. Guard at the door? He nodded once. Armed. Taekwondo wasn't meant for killing, but tonight, if someone tried to hurt him again, I pressed my ear to the door footsteps pacing. One guard, easy, I murmured. You stay behind me. A faint smile. I'm starting to get used to that. I kicked the door. The guard didn't expect resistance. He stumbled back. I leapt. Elbow to his throat. Spin kick to the jaw. He hit the ground, unconscious. Alexander stared like I just flipped the moon. Remind me never to make you angry? I grinned breathlessly. Don't worry, you're my favorite billionaire. He chuckled soft, genuine, and it made my heart skip. We slipped out and hurried to the glass case. I smashed it with the guard's rifle butt and grabbed his watch. What does it do? I whispered. A distress beacon. Send my location to a private strike team. Good, we'll need backup. His fingers brushed mine as he strapped the watch on. I need you to stay close. I'm not going anywhere, I replied. We crept toward a stairwell, but just as we reached the top, blinding lights. Guns raised, dozens of men. Camilla stepped out behind them. Did you think I'd leave you unmonitored? She scoffed. Her gaze darted between us between our interlocked hands. And don't tell me you've already fallen for her, Alexander. This girl from the alley? She isn't worth. Alexander barked. She's worth more than every snake in your world combined. My breath caught. Camilla's face hardened. Fine, if she means that much. She cocked her gun. Then she dies first. Alexander lunged in front of me. No! Camilla's finger tightened on the trigger. Bang. The gunshot echoed. Alexander choked, blood blooming red across his chest, and collapsed into my arms. No! 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 I screamed, catching him before he hit the floor. His eyes, glassy with pain, locked onto mine. Zara! Run! His body went limp. I wasn't sure if he was breathing. Everything inside me shattered into rage and terror, and I stood facing an army with only my fists and fury to save him. Alexander collapsed in my arms, warm blood spreading across my hands like a nightmare I refused to accept. No! Stay with me! I cried, my voice breaking. Camilla smirked as if she'd just swatted a fly. She aimed her gun at his heart again. Something inside me snapped. Every lesson, every kick, every bruise I ever earned in Taekwondo, all of it ignited like a blazing fire in my chest. I laid Alexander gently on the ground. Then I stood slowly facing Camilla and her armed men. You want me? I said, my voice low and deadly. Come get me. She laughed. Shoot her. The nearest guard stepped forward. I moved like lightning. Roundhouse kicked. His gun flew. I slammed my elbow into his throat. Another rushed. I twisted his arm, stealing his weapon, and fired at the ceiling. Alarm sirens wailed through the mansion. The men hesitated only seconds, but enough. My heart screamed one word: fight. I spun, kicked, struck, dodged. Bodies fell around me, stunned, disarmed, unconscious. Camilla stepped back, eyes wide. How? How are you doing all this? I protect people I care about, I growled. She fired a shot, but I leapt aside and tackled her. Her gun slid across the floor. She clawed at me, shrieking, but this wasn't a fair fight. I pinned her wrists, breathing hard inches from her face. This ends now, she spit back, hate burning in her eyes. You think he'll choose you? You're nobody. No, I said. I'm the woman who saved his life. Twice. And I knocked her out cold. The room felt still, too still. I ran back to Alexander. He lay motionless, too pale. I collapsed beside him, pulling his face into my hands. Alexander, please. I can't lose you. His eyelids fluttered, barely. Zara. His voice was a cracked whisper. I thought I'd lost you. Tears rushed down my cheeks. I'm right here. Stay with me, please. Suddenly glass shattered. Boots stormed in. A tactical strike team all wearing King Industries insignia. The driver from earlier barreled toward us. Sir, we're taking you to medical now. They lifted him onto a stretcher. His hand reached for mine desperately. Come with me, he breathed. I'm not leaving you, I promised, squeezing his fingers as we rushed out. Days later, Alexander survived. Emergency surgery saved him. I visited every day, sitting by his side while monitors beeped steadily. Proof of life, proof of hope. One morning I arrived to find him awake, sitting up slightly, watching the sunrise through his hospital window. He turned to me, the softest smile touching his lips. Zara, I've never met anyone like you. I sat on the edge of the bed, brushing his hair from his forehead gently. You scared me, I whispered. You saved me, he countered. His warm hand covered mine. I want you in my life, not just as my protector. His voice lowered, vulnerable, but as the person who makes me want to stay alive. My heart did a dangerous somersault. And what if I say yes? He leaned forward, wincing a bit until his forehead rested against mine. Then I'll spend every day proving you made the right choice. Our lips met slow, sweet, full of everything we almost lost. Months later, a press conference, cameras flashing. Alexander looked strong again, powerful, the billionaire the world admired. But today his hand was wrapped around mine. When the reporters asked, Mr. King, who is the woman beside you? He smiled proudly, kissing my knuckles. She's the hero who saved my life, and the woman I love. The room erupted with shocked whispers and blinding flashes. I blushed but held my chin high. Taekwondo girl from the alley, now the billionaire's heart. Later in his penthouse, now secured and peaceful, we stood on the balcony overlooking the city lights. He slid an arm around my waist and whispered into my hair. From the moment you kicked those men off me, you kicked your way right into my future. I laughed softly, leaning into him. And I'm never leaving, I promised. He kissed my temple, holding me like treasure. For the rest of our lives, he murmured. And with his heartbeat steady against mine, I knew this wasn't the end. It was the beginning.